Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Previously we looked at the background of the poet and on the poem titled Journey of the Magi. This time around we want to look at the foregrounding notes on the poem. At least we want to examine some features as seen in the poem. And the first thing to take note of here is structure or features. T.S. Eliot's Journey of the Magi is a 43-line poem, and the poem is composed as an allusion. When we say allusion, we are referring to a reference that is made to a particular event. And also, allusion is subdivided into two. We have classical or historical allusion, so also biblical or Quranic allusion. When we say classical historical allusion, it has to do with a situation whereby the literary writer makes reference to an event in the medieval era, Victorian era, Elizabethan era, Shakespearean era, or the time in the ancient era. That is what is meant by classical or historical. And when we say biblical or Quranic allusion, that has to do with a reference by a literary writer to the events in the Bible or in the Quran. So as you can see in this poem, we have the reference made to the visitation to the baby Jesus by the Magi. And the three wise men who from the east visited baby Jesus Christ in the Magi and at Bethlehem. So consequently, the poem Journey of the Magi is a romance. And don't forget, when we say romance, it has nothing to do with caressing or cuddling a person. I said that before. This has to do with anything that shows the belief or the opinion of a person in which the person wants you to take the preachment. That is what it meant. What is meant by romance. And indeed, T.S. Eliot's rendition of the poem is episodic. That is, it is arranged in episodes. The episode can be itemized as this. 1. Coming into an unfavorable weather at set forth. As I said earlier in the background, that the Magi passed through unfavorable weather, the condition of that time. And secondly, encountering of distraction on the journey. That is 2. 3. Encountering of revolts within the traveling company. That is, one person to another. There's no way there will be no disagreement. And another one is encountering of a persecution. So also encountering of an ambush and the final satisfactory arrival at destination. Thus, the above analyzed episode demonstrates T.S. Eliot's Journey of the Magi as heroic and romantic. So that is that about structure or features. The next one is form. Form-wise, the journey, Eliot's Journey of the Magi is a song of praise. When we say song of praise, a way of chanting or hailing somebody, and also recommendation of the attitude of perseverance. And this perseverance has to do with the three wise men in the Bible carried out their visit to Bethlehem to baby Jesus Christ. So by extension, the poem is a celebration of the life reality that nothing good comes easy as they trudge the journey to Bethlehem. In other words, a crown That is, success can only be gained having carried a cross, and which is what? Difficulties of life. So this is about the form and the subject matter of the poem, as it's clearly shown that before you have a gain, you must have passed through difficulties. That is the subject matter of it. And the next thing is the subject matter. Okay, I've discussed that. And next, let me brief the subject matter again. The first 5 lines of the Journey of the Magi is enclosed in quotation marks. Quotation marks are used to separate a quote and to show that these words were not originally made by the speaker but by someone else to whom the speaker refers to. Therefore, it is pertinent to note that the words in quotation were not originally made by the poetic persona. The first 5 lines were extracted from the Christmas sermon given by Lancelot Andrews, the Bishop of Winchester in 1962, in the presence of James I. So the title of the sermon was On Nativity. The title of the poem tells the readers that the entire poem is centered around a poetic recreation of the biblical Magi on their way to see the Messiah. Although the readers are consciously aware of the biblically allusive meanings that the poem could emit, they are also conscious of the connotations that could arise from it. And more so, in the sermon, Lancelot Andrews had listed out the challenges and hardship that the Magi faced on their journey to Bethlehem. Through the use of the plural pronoun we, the poet establishes the Magi as the voice of the poem. The term Magi is generally used to refer to 3 wise men or 3 kings. The journey is a very difficult one, especially for kings who are used to the more beautiful things of life. And in the third line, the poetic persona states that it was such a long journey. Such a long journey. The journey is long and challenging. The weather conditions are also hostile and unforgiving. And also, the poetic persona states in the fifth line that it was the very dead of the winter, that is, the winter time of that particular period. So that is that about the subject matter, a brief summary of the subject matter. And the last thing on there is diction. You know that as well. That is the choice of words as used by the literary writer. And it was aforementioned that the literary writer is a heavy user of vocabularies. So, as pertaining diction, the poet's use of words is conventional and narrative. That is telling the story of the 3 kings or the wise men on their journey to Bethlehem in order to see the baby Jesus Christ. In fact, the poem can be called a dramatic monologue. Through this method, the words are used to help the reader follow the journey because the end product is that the poem reads like a story. The poetic persona makes use of the first person pronouns such as the singular pronoun I and the collective pronoun we, and the reader is granted access into the minds of the characters. That is a omniscient technique. For instance, the poetic persona says things like, "There were times we regretted," as seen in line 8, and "with the voices in our ears," saying that this was all folly. That is seen in lines 19 to 20. Through these diction choices, the reader is not just acquainted with the story, but also with the poetic persona's character, his thoughts, and also emotions. Furthermore, the diction is also place, time, culture, and context specific. That is, it is limited to those mentioned areas. For instance, the poet's use of words like sherbet in line 10 and also camel men in line 11 collocates with the idea of men from the East and the kinds of drinks they must have been drinking at that time. Even the use of camels as a means of transportation also agrees with the time since modern technology like cars, aeroplanes, and ships were not in existence at the period within which the poem is set. So, this is a brief explanation on diction. Get the poem, read further, and understand. So, this is about today's lesson. Do not forget to share the link, share the video, share the channel, invite people also to the channel, and don't forget to subscribe. Drop any comments below the video if there need be, and always remain safe. Coronavirus is real. Thank you.